I was listening to a pretty well-known teacher who's been around for 25, 30 years now, and he posted some stuff on YouTube. And basically what he was saying is that if you strictly follow some of the non-dual teachings that say to abide as the awareness and just to let the thoughts and the feelings come and go, but to stay as the awareness. Right? What he was saying is that if you're doing that, you're participating in spiritual bypassing. Meaning that if you're doing that, you're ignoring your nervous system, you're ignoring the accumulation of emotional energy in your body from the past, you're ignoring that, and you're escaping into this idea that you don't have to deal with it, you don't have to feel that. You consider transcendence to be that you're no longer connected to that reality, and therefore you don't have to deal with any of that, you don't have to feel anything, you don't have to.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's simply a misunderstanding about the teachings. The teachings don't say that. People take the teachings, as they do with everything, people take the teachings and create misunderstandings about it. And it could be easily misunderstood that these practices are about escaping from suffering. The interesting thing about it is, and this is why the teachings are so critical. The interesting thing about it is what the teachings say is the way to escape suffering is to be 100% in the experience of it. The Zen teaching says there's an old myth. The Zen teaching says the student says to the master, "How do I escape the flames of the suffering?" And the teacher says, "By jumping into the flames." Because transcendence doesn't mean get away from, it means go into. Because non-duality means that it doesn't mean you're not the body. Remember that what I've said here, I said there are stages of understanding that build upon one another. And at one point, to say you're not the body is useful. At another point, to say you are the body is useful. Okay? And to say you are the body is a more advanced understanding. Because non-duality means that there is nothing separate from anything else. You are everything. You are the body, you are the thoughts, you are the emotions, you are everything, right? Transcendence means to know, as it says in the Heart Sutra, transcendence means to know that emptiness is form and form is emptiness. In the beginning, we're learning about the emptiness part of the equation because we are conditioned to consider ourselves the form, the body, the personality. So we're learning about the part we don't know about. All right, so once we understand emptiness, which is awareness, consciousness, right? Then the next thing is now to close the gap, right? To end this equation, two becomes one. They have to meet in the middle, right? And so then the form and emptiness become the same thing. Emptiness is form and form is emptiness. The form is the body, emptiness is awareness. Awareness is the body. So that's the non-dual understanding. So if awareness is the body, then the experience of emotion is an experience of energy and aliveness. It's not negative. It's considered negative, when you are stuck in the form of being a personality and you're stuck in the belief system that goes along with that and you're stuck in the way of living that goes along with that. And part of that stuckness and part of that way of living is to resist, to cope, to struggle, to be in control, to be on the lookout for the enemy, to fight back, all the rest of it. And even though it's failing in spades, nobody's, for the most part, people aren't giving up. They say, "Oh, this is where the hope and the belief and the prayer comes." Because since it keeps sucking, right, we can't depend on this extending itself into workability. We have to hope for, you know, what were in a lot of the religions, the last judgment. We have to hope for Judgment Day to come, you know, so this can all end and all the rest of it. But the reality of it is that if you get the idea that awareness is a natural state that is already the case, so that when you get that, it gives you relief from this, but then you have to finish the job and you have to come back home. You have to come back to this. You have to understand. Emotions are, according to these teachings that I'm teaching and these practices that I'm talking about, I said it in the last class. In fact, one of the people that was here asked the question about it. She said, what do I do when I have the anxiety in my physical body? You know, I'm feeling this energy in my body and it's uncomfortable. What do I do? How do I deal with that? You know, and she was actually saying, I don't just ignore it, do I? And what did I say? No, don't ignore it. Don't ignore it. As soon as you're aware of it, right, attend to it. Allow it to complete its expression. Attend to it. Understand that in your nervous system there is energy that's blocked. You know, there is energy that's stuck. That's one of the reasons why I like teaching Tai Chi Cha and why I became a teacher of Tai Chi Cha. Because that is a form of moving meditation that specifically focuses on opening up the blockages in the body of the flow of energy. And storing the chi, storing energy in the body in a good way, you know. So no, if you truly understand, see that guy that was saying that, obviously, he was talking about it as if everybody made the same mistake he made, and he was going to help them correct it. But he made the mistake. It was his misunderstanding. Because the truth be told, you know, when emotions come up, they're to be welcomed. You know, the meditation teacher, he's a famous meditation teacher now. I can never remember these people's names, but he's a famous meditation teacher. And he said that he started to practice meditation and learn about the truth when he was a young man, and he was suffering from panic attacks. And he went to his father, who was a meditation teacher, and asked him to teach him meditation so he could deal with his panic attacks. And even after he had learned to meditate and was practicing meditation and was considered to be a meditation master, to the point that he was leading retreats with other monks. He was a monk leading retreats with other monks, and he had to leave the retreat and go to his room because he was having a panic attack. Right? And what did he say? He said that obviously he was not yet complete or finished with whatever was going on with him emotionally, right? And he said that when he did get complete, the way he would describe the completion is he would say that when I did see things as they are, when I did recognize the truth, when anxiety would arise in my body, I would welcome it. I would welcome it. I would say, oh, great, you're here. Why resist it? Why fight with it? It's just energy, and the energy will release, right? If you don't resist it, if you don't try and contain it, if you don't try and get rid of it. So even though he was practicing meditation, there was still the conditioning in his mind that was not wanting to feel the anxiety. Yeah. So even not wanting to feel the anxiety can be welcome, because all that is the conditioning manifesting itself. So you welcome it all. There's nothing to resist. You welcome it all. You welcome it all. It's all your family. The world is your body. Humanity is your family. This is the truth. You know, there is nothing to resist. And the practice of not resisting anything can be experienced to be workable when you realize the truth, which is that there's no body for it to affect. The truth is that who you thought you were that would have to survive isn't who you are, and therefore doesn't have to survive. Who you thought you were that had to protect itself and resist discomfort and pain and threats, you know, who you thought you were that had to do all that, the discovery is available that that's not true. It isn't you, and you don't have to do all that. You can let everything be exactly as it is. That's why I say, that what waking up, what enlightenment is all about, has nothing to do with change. And that's an important thing to say to people so they realize, because they're so conditioned to change. You know, they think everything, if there's a possibility to be happy, I have to change somehow in order to experience that. No, that's not what this is. If you wake up and experience things as they are, nothing changes. Nothing changes. What you are doesn't change. It was always that way. Nothing changes. Everything continues to flow the way it does, you know. When the seed is watered and the seed sprouts a plant, nothing changed. All that was already there. All that was already true. That's one of the reasons why a part of the truth is that everything is predetermined, because nothing changes. Everything is the same. There is no real past, there is no real future, and if that's the case and there is a real now, then whatever we call the past and the future must be happening now. It's all happening now. It's already there. The future's already there. And you know, you don't have to get mystical and think that, oh, wow, man, were you on LSD when you realized that? You don't have to get all trippy about it, right? No. The bottom line is, yeah, is it a fantastic, unbelievable reality, the truth? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But the good news is it is true. That's why it says at the end of the Heart Sutra, this is true. This works. This is true. Right? And all you have to do is have a conviction that that's the case, and then you can start to practice the one thing that will make the biggest difference, and that's to relax. Because if it's true, there's nothing to worry about, is there? There's no reason to be afraid. There's nothing to worry about. You know, that's one of the, that's part of how organized religion works, right? They say, have faith in God. Trust God. God will take care of you. You know, Jesus will save you, right? All they're really saying is everything is okay already. Don't worry about it. Don't sweat it. Don't be concerned about it. Cultivate. There's only two possibilities when you're dealing with other people. This is an important principle. There's only two possibilities. One is that they have no idea what's going on and what they're doing, in which case you should have compassion, right? They have no idea, right? The other case is they know what they're doing and they believe that what they're doing is going to work, even though it is foolishness and it can never work, right? In that case, you should have even more compassion than the other case, right? And they're the only two possibilities, right? So if that's the case and you apply that way of understanding in relationship to anybody, you'll be left with compassion. And same thing applies to yourself, right? You can't, you know, if you look back in your life at the stupid shit that you did that caused suffering for you and other people, right? The only realistic way to look back at that is to realize I did that then because I didn't know. I know now, but I didn't know then. So I can forgive that me, I can have compassion for that me because I didn't know. The only other alternative, which is just a manifestation of craziness, is to feel guilty or ashamed. You know, that's craziness. That's why one of the things about the idea of understanding that everything is predetermined, if that's true, feeling guilty doesn't make any sense anymore because I had no choice. I had no free will, you know. Feeling shame makes no sense anymore. You know, it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit. And it's true that that's the case. You know, I mean, and you know, the other thing about it, even if you're talking about everything is predetermined, right? I know for a lot of people that is so different from the way people got things figured out. I understand that. And if you're a religious person, it's even worse, right? But the reality of it is, if you really look at it closely, right, you can actually see that it is the case. That your behavior, if you think that your behavior is a function of choices that you're really making and that you really have free will, there are scientists that did the reverse engineering on this, and when you take it back, the evidence is right there that it's impossible for you to have free choice. Impossible for you to have free choice. Because everything that you choose to do is a function of the thinking you do, and the thinking you do comes directly from your conditioning and your DNA. There's no choice about it. There's no choice about it. So if that's the case, you know, then it just reinforces the idea that put your attention on relaxation. Put your attention on calming your mind. Why? So you can enjoy your life. That's what my teacher is practicing every day, you know. I mean, you know, that when when you talk to him, there's a lot of laughter. There's a lot of enjoyment going on there. And there's a tremendous amount of compassion, you know, for the world, yeah.
I think one of the Buddhist teachers said that your greatest teacher is someone who's your enemy or creates an obstacle for you. So what is that getting at? It's testing you?
Well, what I would refer you to, and I brought this up here, is look up 8 verses for training the mind. You can Google it, right? And that's the teaching that answers that question. Because basically what it's saying is all the conditions that exist that cause people to hate one another are a function of their misunderstanding about who they are. And the 8 verses of training the mind says that if somebody does harm to you, even somebody who you love, even somebody who you've done great things for, has no reason to hurt you. If somebody does harm to you that's that way, see them as your spiritual teacher. Why? Because the only way you could be upset about it is if you still believe you're a personality. That's why they're your teacher. Because they're showing you, see, you're still in a personality. That's why you're upset. Right? If you weren't still in a personality and you did realize what I spoke about earlier in terms of why you would have compassion for other people, you know, then if somebody was your enemy, you would have compassion for them. Well, we're talking about it on an individual level now. You can't say, oh, let's make it a political system.
Right.
That doesn't work, right? Because the political system is based on the conditioning that is the lie. That's in a way. What if what happened there, now watch, what if what happened there, after it happened, what if a leader stood up and said, we will not retaliate. We will not attack. This will not be an eye for an eye. We will have compassion and understanding for the ignorance that had to be behind what they did. And we will not put innocent people in the way. You know, we will not put the Palestinians in the way. We will not do it. Now, that would take a tremendously courageous leader because that leader would be thrown out immediately. Right? He would be thrown out of me. Because the will of the people is based on their conditioning. Even though this country said, don't make the same mistake we did, right? When we were attacked, you know, we retaliated and we did an emotional retaliation. We'll hurt you for hurting us. That's a perpetuation of ignorance. It's a practice, you know. It's like when couples come to me for therapy. See, I used to practice what the conventional, what they call the conventional approach to couples therapy, help them learn to communicate. All that does is help them to get better at hating each other with more detail. You know, I can communicate why you make me sick better now, right? And that's one of the reasons I hated to do couples therapy, because it didn't work. That, you know, things would get worse, you know, and I wouldn't know what to do. I didn't want to recommend to them to get a divorce. Right? But now when I look at that, I realize that was a mistake, and there are some people that are seeing it more clearly now. So when people come for couples therapy, I say your individual well-being is your individual business. And if you take care of that business and you're happy, peaceful, and satisfied, you'll get along fine. And if you don't, this will continue. This will continue. Yeah. So I said, if you want your wife or if you want your husband to be different, there are ways you want them to be different. If they were different that way, the relationship would work better, right? Take responsibility for who you would need to be so they were different, instead of just telling them you need to change and then things will work. That's an enlightened approach. That's an enlightened approach. And it does work. It does work. I can tell you it does work. You know, that when people realize that you're not the enemy, and when people realize that, you know, that your interest is in their well-being as well as your own, how could they not cooperate with that? No. One of the things I've started to do in my private practice is two things I started to do in my private practice. One is to throw people out of therapy. And the other thing is to not allow people into therapy.
Does that mean throw them out?
No, don't worry.
Throw them out, then I'll really be upset.
No. But it's actually a more powerful approach to doing psychotherapy, because a lot of people aren't ready. A lot of people aren't ready. You know, when people come to therapy and they say, "Oh well, you know, I thought I'd go to a number of different therapists to see which one I liked." I don't want to work with you. You know, I don't want to work with you, because as soon as I disagree with you, you're going to make me wrong and leave. Why would I work with you, right? Then I had another guy come to me who was, his wife separated from him, and he has a child. And in the first session, he was just like venting, you know, angry, upset, hurt, you know. I got it. At the end of the session, I said, listen, I got it. You're upset, you're angry, you're hurt, and you're confused. I got it. After 5 sessions, that didn't change. I threw him out. I said, you don't want therapy. You want somebody to agree with you about how miserable your life is. That's not therapy. That's not therapy.